Let's turn to the Big 12, fellas. All right, Rob, you've got takes on this. Kansas being the number 1 seed. It's interesting to see a battle of the purple, Kansas State and TCU. I cannot wait for that game. Baylor, number 2 seed. What do you think of the Big 12?
There's 2 teams that I think are really, really interesting here. Obviously, the top of the league is loaded. Obviously,
beg your pardon, Baylor in the 4-5. Go ahead.
Yeah, Texas in the 2 seed. We knew what you meant, Phantom. We knew what you meant. We got you. Iowa State, without Caleb Grill, just went into Waco and beat up on Baylor. Beat them by 16. They get the rematch on Thursday. It is the early game. It is a 11:30 a.m. local time tip. Iowa State's one of these teams. I talked about it on Saturday night. I talked about it on the DTF podcast today. They're one of those teams where all of the cliche things that basketball coaches talk about, like that's what they embody: culture, connectivity, talking like team bond, like all that stuff. And when you have one kind of bad apple in that bunch, that can kind of blow it up when you don't have the talent level to overcome that. So now that they are kind of back on that level, I'm very interested to see what they can do in this event. For some of those same reasons, I kind of like Texas Tech. And Fanta, you laughed me off. You gave me a look in the DTF podcast today about it. That team has top 25 talent right now. They just announced Corey Williams as the interim head coach while Mark Adams is suspended. And I would not be shocked to see them beat West Virginia, to see them knock off Kansas, free bill, field68.shop, and find a way to get to the Big 12 semifinals. And once you get to the Big 12 semifinals, anything can happen. I've almost locked it in on the Vaulted app. Not quite. I'm not quite there yet. I've almost locked it in.
I still don't understand why I don't have any Field of 68 gear. I've got nothing. I don't have a single T-shirt.
Here's the problem. We don't sell them in size medium.
It's unbelievable. I got nothing. You stole my point with Iowa State. I like Iowa State. Sometimes you need to shake things up to go on a run. And dismissing Caleb Grill, no idea what happened, what was going on in the locker room. But when you're fighting for your culture and you do something like that, it only helps your team.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved Holmes and Oshuni from St. Bonaventure.
Those are your guys, your A-10 guys, man.
I had to play against those guys enough. I like Iowa State. I think they're the dark horse. I think that Baylor game, after having just beat them at Baylor, if they can get past that first-round game versus them, man, I think they can make a run to the finals. I'm not picking against Rock Chalk. I'm not doing that. And then when we talk about the most to gain or most to lose, is you got to put probably Oklahoma State and West Virginia in that category. And West Virginia,
can we all join in unison and pull for Mike Boynton here? Can we get Mike Boynton to the tournament? Can we do that? He got screwed, man.
Screwed. Absolutely screwed. Absolutely screwed. So I'm with you on that one. I'd love to see Oklahoma State get there. West Virginia, they've lost some close games. They've looked like an NCAA tournament team. I think they have the most to lose.
They're in now. They're in after beating Kansas State on Saturday.
Do you think they have to win a game in the tournament to get in?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I really don't. I think Rob, I don't know where you stand. I think West Virginia is in the field.
Yeah, they got their dance shoes on.
So here's the thing for me with this tournament. I think the key game in the entire thing, I think the must-watch game is going to be Marquise Noel, Deontay Johnson on one side for Kansas State, and Mike Miles, Emmanuel Miller, Damian Baugh, and Jamie Dixon's TCU Horned Frogs on the other. TCU is a team, I cannot figure it out. Cannot figure them out. They go to Texas Tech and they win. Then they beat Texas. And just when it looks like they've got it cooking, they lose by 14 to Oklahoma. Now, that might have been hey, it's time for the conference tournament. We're done with this stuff. We need to get into the conference tournament. The Horned Frogs could be a second weekend team. They're good enough to be in the second weekend. They're bad enough to lose their first game in the NCAA tournament offensively. Because if they don't get transition, they're not a great half-court offensive team. They struggle to shoot the ball. I just think Kansas State's disruptive ability defensively, whoever turns the ball over less wins that game. So there's going to be a fascinating dynamic there. It's going to be a sea of purple at the Big 12 tournament. I'm really excited for this 3-6 game just because I think Kansas State plays so hard. But that's one thing that TCU does well, too. So I think that's going to be a fascinating game in the Big 12 tournament. And I'm with Rob. Like Kansas State in the championship game would be superb in this conference.
And what a story too, with where Kansas State was picked, the whole Keontae Johnson deal, not playing for 2 years and being back and being the newcomer of the year. Like, I mean, that would be unbelievable to see those two teams in a final. That would be unbelievable.
Coach, how about, and then we got to get to a break. How about the fact, Coach McCall, that we could get Kansas Baylor in a semifinal?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
The last two national champions.
Yeah, how about that? How about that?
In a conference tournament semifinal.
That's why this week is awesome.
Welcome to the Big 12, baby.
Better.
Welcome to the Big 12.
Rob, we got to go to break in 2 minutes, so we got 2 minutes here. Rob, briefly, where do you stand on Baylor?
I'm not as in on them as I was 2 weeks ago. I love their guard play. Absolutely love their guard play. I think that Jonathan Chanwa-Chachua coming back to school or coming back from the knee injury helped them. But it did not help them as much as I thought it would on the defensive end of the floor. And some of that is because he doesn't quite have the same explosiveness. And some of that, frankly, is because, you know, when you have Adam Flagler, LJ Cryer, and Keontae George out there, it's just you're never going to be great at keeping people in front of you. Like the simple fact is none of those guys are Davion Mitchell. And that's not a knock on them because Davion Mitchell was an absolute freak. But you can kind of change who you are defensively when you have a dude that's that good. And they don't have that guy on the perimeter defensively. And I think they're good enough when those three guards get hot and all of them are hitting shots, which is going to happen probably 2 out of every 6 games, right? They're going to be able to beat anybody in the country. Quite literally anybody. I would not be shocked to see them beat anybody and beat them by 15 when those guys get hot. Hey guys, just a reminder, our sponsor for today's episode is Run Your Pool. They are hosting the Field of 68 Bracket Challenge. This year, they are giving away $1,500 in free prizes. It's all an incentive for you to get on there and find out just how good their platform is. I've been using them for my bracket pools for years. I've used them for Super Bowl squares. I use them for everything that I need to use them for. The biggest survivor pool that I'm in for both NFL and NCAA tournament is by Run Your Pool. So go check them out. The link's below. Tap in.